For most of our cross-border retirees, their Canada pension plan plays a major role in their successful retirement. However, when most people come to us, they don't know if they qualify for CPP, how much they're going to receive in CPP, even how to turn it on or when to turn it on. Today, we're going to try to fix that. My name is Brian Haggard. I'm a certified financial planner, chartered financial analyst, and I'm the founder of RetireMitten Financial. We help simplify your cross-border retirement plan. And one of the issues that we help all of our clients out with is their Canada Pension Plan, their CPP. And today we're going to talk about how to qualify for your Canada pension, some of the basics around CPP, how you can get your CPP estimate, when to turn on your CPP benefit, and last but not least, how to apply and actually get your CPP benefits started. So let's start off and talk about some of your CPP basics. One of the questions that people start off by asking us is, Brian, do I even qualify for a CPP? I didn't work in Canada very long, and other clients of ours have worked in Canada for a long time. They're just trying to figure out how much they're going to get. Well, first and foremost, qualifying for your CPP benefit is pretty easy. Almost all of our cross-border retirees qualify for at least some CPP benefit. And that's because as long as you lived in Canada and worked in Canada, in all likelihood, you would have, for at least a year, you would have contributed to CPP, and therefore you'd be qualified or eligible for some CPP benefit. Now, CPP works a lot like US Social Security. The longer you lived in Canada, the more you earned, the more you paid into CPP, the higher your benefit is going to be. Now, Canada says that your full retirement age for CPP is 65. However, you can turn on your CPP benefit as early as age 60, and you can actually delay and grow your CPP benefit all the way till age 70. Now, I'm really talking mainly about CPP here. However, if the last province that you worked in was Quebec, you might be eligible for a QPP benefit instead of CPP. They're very, very similar. Most of our clients do not come from Quebec, so I'm going to kind of focus on CPP. But if you qualify for a Quebec pension plan instead, most of the things that we're going to talk today about are very similar. One of the differences about the QPP over CPP is in Quebec, you can actually delay your start date until 72. With your CPP, you wouldn't delay it past age 70. Now, for your full retirement age, which is what Canada says 65, here in 2025, the maximum benefit, if you would have lived and worked in Canada for 40 years, would be a little over 1,400 Canadian per month. Now, a lot of the clients that we work with only get a fraction of that because maybe they lived and worked in Canada for 10 or 20 years before moving here to the States. And if you, one of the differences between CPP and Social Security is maybe you took care of a child, you stopped working or reduced work to take care of children under the age of 70, under the age of 7. Canada actually has a child rearing benefit that you may actually get a larger benefit from your CPP, even though there might have been some years that you were not working. Okay, the first thing that we always ask our clients when we're putting together the retirement plan is to go on and get your CPP estimate. Now, as a US resident, that can be a little bit tougher than it sounds. Maybe you used to go to Service Canada, log in, and get your CPP estimates, but there's a really good chance that you can't do that anymore. We'll explain why and how to potentially change that. So, first of all, if you just want to get your CPP estimates, the best way for most people to do it is to contact Service Canada. We'll put a phone number down in the description below so that you have that available. You'll want to give them a call. And what I always recommend that my clients do is call them and ask them what their benefits or what your benefits would be if you turn it on at age 60, 65, and age 70. If you're older than age 60, ask them what it would be if you turn it on immediately. Now, the reason we always recommend calling Service Canada to get that information is for most of our clients, they don't have access to the online system to get your estimates any longer. And why is that? If you've been away from Canada for at least 5 years, if you're not filing Canadian tax returns any longer, there's a really good chance that your social insurance number has become dormant. Canada does that to protect, kind of for security reasons on your account. And so if your social insurance number is now dormant, there's no longer you can get that online. And that's why you need to call Service Canada to get your estimates verbally. Now, if you are thinking that you're going to turn on your Canada pension plan in the next couple of years, it probably makes sense to get your social insurance number out of dormancy. That does take a couple of months. So I usually recommend people starting that sooner rather than later. Certainly, if you're about to turn on your CPP benefit, it makes sense to get it. The other nice thing about getting your social insurance number out of dormancy is that you can now start to get your CPP estimates online, and it's more than just getting a verbal confirmation from somebody at Service Canada. All right, so now once we know what your benefit is going to be at different ages, we can start to figure out when's the best time to turn on your CPP. Now, I've done a lot of these videos before, but let's talk a little bit about the basics of delaying and why people may want to delay and why people might not want to delay as well. So first and foremost, if you delay, every year that you delay from 60 to 65, your CPP benefit should grow by 7.2% annually between those timeframes. Remember, I told you before that Canada sets your full retirement age for CPP at age 65. So you do get a growth rate between 60 and 65 of 7.2% annually. It actually grows every single month. You don't have to wait until a full year to turn on your CPP. Every month it goes up by 0.6% per month. There's an even bigger benefit of delaying past age 65. Between 65 and 70, your annual rate of growth for your CPP is 8.4%. So your CPP benefit is growing pretty rapidly. There's a lot of benefits of delaying it. So you might be thinking to yourself, hey, if my CPP benefit is growing by 7 or 8% per year, I might as well just wait to turn that on. Now, I will tell you that we actually suggest for a lot of our clients to turn on their CPP earlier rather than later. I would say a majority of the clients that we talk to will turn on their CPP benefits at retirement. And why is that, even though your CPP benefit is growing? For a lot of people, kind of the strategy that we'll recommend is turning on your Canadian benefits first. That would include your CPP and OAS, and delaying and growing your Social Security benefit until a later point of time. Now, you can't delay all of these benefits, and all of these benefits will grow for you. But for a lot of our clients, when they're first retiring, it's nice to have a little bit of monthly income coming in. And for us, we prefer to do that on their Canadian benefits versus their US benefits. And the reason why that is US benefits for most of our clients are more valuable than their Canadian benefits. Their US benefits, such as Social Security, has typically larger survivor benefits, has larger and better spousal benefits. And for most people, their Social Security benefit is just larger, meaning that it's growing at a faster pace than their CPP benefit. For a lot of our clients, we find that their CPP benefit might only be a few $100s per month. And so, although it may be growing at 7 or 8% per year, if your benefit's only $200 US per month, by waiting a whole year to turn it on, it might only be growing by $16, $17. And for a lot of people, that just doesn't make sense. They prefer to get that money coming in now in delaying their Social Security benefit. Again, everybody's a little bit different, but that's a common strategy that we'll use with our clients. Okay, now that you know how much your benefit's going to be and you know when you're going to turn on your benefit, we now need to talk about how to apply for CPP as a US resident. As a US resident, unfortunately, you're not able to apply for CPP online. You will need to fill out a paper application and you will have to mail it to Canada. You will be able to download that paper application from Service Canada. Again, I'll put a link in the description below so you know how to access that application if you like to. You'll send that to the Service Canada department or office that is located in the last province that you lived in. We typically find that once you mail that in, it will typically take 2 to 3 months for your CPP benefit to get started. And if you're over the age of 65, you can actually get a retroactive payment for the last 12 months if you'd like to get a larger lump sum payment. You'll typically take 2 to 3 months. What we usually find is a lot of times you're not going to get a lot of confirmation from Service Canada that your benefit's going to start. All of a sudden, a lot of times what we find is our clients just get a paper check in the mail that they can deposit. Now, a couple other really nice things about CPP. As a US resident, you can decide if you want that deposited into your US bank account or into a Canadian bank account. Tax wise, it doesn't matter. Canada does not withhold anything for taxes. However, you will have to report this as Social Security income here in the United States. For a lot of our clients, we strongly recommend having that money directly deposited into a US bank account, especially if you're not traveling and you don't have a lot of expenses up in Canada. If you are traveling a lot to Canada, you have a lot of expenses up in Canada, you may decide to have that directly deposited into a Canadian bank account. So, why do we usually recommend a US bank account? The main reason is that Canada will actually do the exchange for you. The US government does the exchange for you, and they will directly deposit that in US dollars into your US bank account. There's no exchange being done by your bank. And the Canadian government's going to typically get a much better exchange rate than you're going to be able to get on your own, and the fees are going to be lower. So if your thought is you're going to move that down to the US anyway, you're typically better having the money directly deposited into a US bank as opposed to you doing it on your own a couple times a year. Now, when to turn on your Canada pension plan and how this ultimately plays into your overall cross-border retirement plan is something that we help our clients out with every single day. If you're interested in working with a cross-border financial planner to help simplify your cross-border retirement plan, you can click on the link below to schedule a complimentary consultation with one of our cross-border financial planners. Thanks, and we look forward to speaking with you soon.